Democratic presidential candidate Senator Amy Klobuchar is also one of the impeachment jurors. Senator Klobuchar, good morning.
Good morning. It's great to be on.
We appreciate you being with us this morning. I want to ask you, if I can, very quickly about this new audio recording that appears to show the president speaking to the now indicted associate of Rudy Giuliani, Lev Parnas. Does that change anything for you? And either way, should House Democrats make this entire recording available to the public?
I think they should. They're going to have to look at the nature of it and make sure there's no classified material. But listen to what's happening here. It's just one more piece of evidence. And for me, the most chilling part of this whole trial so far has been hearing the words of the president when he said to another leader, things are going to happen to her. And now what we see on tape reinforcing that, where he says, get rid of her. I know her. I spent time with her, days with her in Ukraine with Senator McCain when he planned a trip right after Trump got elected, and he wanted to bring me and Senator Graham there to Ukraine and to some other Baltic nations to show those leaders that we stood with their democracies instead of standing with Russia. And she literally spent hours with us talking about corruption going on, what she wanted us to focus on.
Yeah.
She just does her job. And I will never forget at the end, we're in a helicopter. It's freezing cold. We're in a blizzard on the front line. And she gave us all these bulletproof vests to put on. And she's helping me put it on. And then at the very end, she says in the snow, here's your mittens. Don't forget your mittens. She's just a gracious, gracious person.
Senator
when you know someone like that, the words are even more chilling.
Senator Klobuchar, House managers were widely praised for their presentation, including by some Republicans. And yet there was some criticism, too. Adam Schiff, in his closing argument, said that Republican senators were told to, quote, vote against the president and your head will be on a pike. That rubbed some moderate senators the wrong way. So was he effective? Were House Democrats effective in making their case, or do you worry it could backfire?
I think that he was effective, and regardless of one sentence that they may not have agreed with, I think that sentence just showed what's been going on in general, that there's so much pressure on them to vote a certain way with the president. And as I've pointed out to them, they don't serve at the pleasure of the president. They were sent to their jobs by the people. And his main point to them was, you know that Donald Trump does this stuff. You know he did this. And maybe he did it before to Marie Yovanovitch or goes after this whistleblower who is just exercising his rights. He's going to do it to you next. He knows no limits, and he is not above the law. And I thought he was very effective in making that case to those of my Republican colleagues who do care about our country, do care about patriotism, and care about our allies around the world.
Senator, you are a juror, but you're also a presidential candidate right now. You're not the only one who's been stuck in the Senate for much of this week. Will be there for much of the next week as well, leading up to the Iowa caucuses. Does that put you at a competitive disadvantage, given the fact that Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg are running around the state right now?
You know, I am a competitive person, and of course I've noticed this is going on, but then I just have to step back and say, I've got my constitutional duty to fulfill. The people of Iowa and the other early states are going to understand that. I am literally leaving the minute we are done with this session today, going back. They're doing 3 events tonight, 4 events tomorrow, all over the state. And I've had my husband and daughter there, and no one else has this. The head coach of the Olympic curling team, yes, Coach Phil, went down there for me and did a curling event at their curling center in Des Moines. So I've tried to be creative about this teletown hall, Skyping in. I will do what it takes, and that's what I've always done and what I'll do for the people of this country as president.
Helps to be a senator from Minnesota. You get to know some folks. Senator Klobuchar, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you. It's great to be on.
Thank you.